practice our craft. I mean, we're enforcing code, but we're also engaging in community relations, letting folks know what we're trying to do, and ultimately it's better for the whole neighborhood.
We are the property maintenance team for this area. This is the west side of Savannah, Tatumville area. We are enforcing the property maintenance and sanitation codes. So pretty much what we'll be doing on this street, which is Franklin Street at the moment, is we'll be canvassing it. And according to the code, anything seen from the right-of-way allows us to go ahead and conduct an inspection of that property. Our main target today, though, is going to be derelict vehicles, improperly parked vehicles, and refuge containers left out on the curbside, which is a big problem. Refuge container is just a basic trash can. I've approached this vehicle it has no license plate, which is under the code that is a derelict vehicle. As I conduct my inspection, I'm going to do an entire 360-degree, inspection around the vehicle, looking at the tires, making sure those are, not flat, no damage. It's very hard to tell if a vehicle, is running or not without the owner around. So one of the tricks we'll use, or something we've been taught, is to look underneath the vehicle, check around the tires, underneath. When it rains, the dirt will collect and settle, and that's a pretty good sign that the car might not be in working condition. Usually we like to tag the vehicle so the rest of the public can easily see it, to let them know we've been in their area, and hopefully influence them if they're have the same sort of violations to go out and correct them.
It's on public property, so the owner of this vehicle has 10 days to bring the vehicle into compliance. They would need to call us at the number that's located on the citation that would be affixed to the vehicle. They will have to show us proof that the vehicle can operate, and they will also have to show us that the vehicle has a valid current tag.
In this case, the vehicle has no identification as far as plates, so we take down the VIN number instead. We take our photographic evidence. The owner of the vehicle is allowed to remove it once we've finished, but we keep very good records. We'll be back in 10 days. Hopefully they've either removed the vehicle from the street or they've come into compliance by adding a license plate tag to the vehicle as well. When I speak to the owner, I will also ask them to crank up the vehicle just to show that it's in working order. Let them know, the law and what the penalties are, when the correction or the violation must be done by, and then same here, just to reinforce the date and time we're here. What I'm looking for, basically, the property maintenance code states that I am not to enter a property, go onto a property, unless I can see a violation from the right-of-way. Once I see that violation from the right-of-way, then I am entitled to approach the house, try to make contact with an owner, and conduct an inspection. So right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm canvassing this street here in Tatumville, which is Franklin Street. What you see in front of us, a vehicle parked directly in the grass. To be properly parked in Savannah, you need your vehicle to be parked either in the driveway. You're allowed to also be parallel to the driveway within 5 feet, and as well as parking on street. So when we see vehicles up on the grass like this, we are required to cite those vehicles. Ignorance of the law is no exception, but still there are a lot of elderly people in this neighborhood and elsewhere and just didn't really have no idea about it. So typically we'll give them maybe a verbal warning or a brochure, and then after that it's zero tolerance.
We always want to make our presence known at the property. So we would just use the front door. We're going to knock on it, let the resident know that we're on their property and why.
This is the city of Savannah, ma'am. How are you this morning, ma'am? Good. Yeah, we're with the property maintenance department, and I'm your Inspector Kalogitonas, the inspector for Tatumville. This is Supervisor Knight. We're out here doing a blitz in the area this morning, looking for vehicle violations as well as others. You're currently improperly parked. If you just park your car parallel to this, you're in compliance. The ordinance states in the driveway or parallel to the driveway within 5 feet. So it would be okay for you to move your vehicle for us, and then we'll just leave it at a warning, but just be forewarned, in the future you will receive a citation. And when you park in the yard, it tears up the grass, which devaluates not only your property, but the properties around you. So they actually, you know, that's something that was very seriously taken, and they initiated that law. So we're not just out here nitpicking, you know. there's a reason behind it. But thank you very much. Number one goal is voluntary compliance. So really more about education than, you know, enforcing people. I mean, we are out here to enforce the code, but a simple conversation, a little bit of education, and there's no need for the paperwork. There's no need to upset anybody by making them think they've, you know, received a ticket. And now she knows. I'm sure she'll pass the information along to her family and friends, and that's the way we try to get it going.
We put out information every year. We attach it to your refuse can around Christmas time. If you'll simply read the brochure and the schedule that we send you, the refrigerator magnet that comes out, there's a lot of information there. If you'll follow that, you won't hear from us.
We're out here to make a difference. This is one of the few jobs where you're actually in the field. You get to know the people personally. You get to know the areas. You know, we're not out here to take people to court. That is the last case scenario. You know, that's the tools we have to get it done.
This month on City Span, the spotlight is on Savannah, literally. Public safety cameras are ramping up surveillance.
Well, it's over 100 now.
For several important reasons. Simulator safety. It's our city's drivers prepared to make the roadways safer. Plus, it's a 110-year-old architectural gem, and it's nearly in its original form.
The mayor and aldermen sit at the exact same desk the mayor and aldermen sat at when this building opened.
City Hall and all its hundreds of years-old documents presented for you. We'll check in on the budget process and show how the summer home repair program works.
It's an easy process. All you got to do is make the first step.
And how you can get help. If you want to, go bananas. But be sure to grab a cup of coffee with a cop and join us on City Span, Monday through Friday, 11, 3, 7, and 11. Your source for news and information in Savannah.
This is obviously a vacant building. You can see the windows are boarded. In this situation, when they're already boarded, we have a lot of problems when the weather starts to cool down. Vagrants, children even, will try to enter these structures either for warmth or what have you. So what I would do is just a general 360-degree inspection of the property just to ensure it's still secure to the public. We don't want children going in there. We have multiple schools in the area. Right now what I'm going to do is just walk around the outside perimeter and make sure that all these windows are still secure. And if they're not, we'll go from there. Okay, so the building checks out. You know, this is a very dynamic job. I can clearly see standing from this angle, there's a vacant lot, but really no street access. And you can see this is one of the bigger problems in Savannah right now is blight and illegal dumping. So this is, you know, I guess there's an access road, maybe like a little dirt road, and they come straight down and they'll just dump their like construction debris or whatever. And you know, other people in the area, they'll see the pile, they'll assume, hey, that's where they're throwing their trash, I'll throw mine there too, and it becomes an illegal dump site. So, you know, take my photographic evidence. I will do a little bit of investigating, which is a huge part of our job. People don't really realize we're all personal, little private detectives. I'll track down the owner of the property, try to speak with them over the phone, send them some information, and get the lot cleaned up if possible. Worst case scenario, the city will have to come out and do it, place a lien on the property. This is what we're out here fighting every day. This is what we're encouraged to look for the most because it has the biggest impact negatively on our environment here in Savannah. The grass ordinance is 10 inches or higher, so Until the grass is risen above 10 inches in height, there is no violation. The actual landlord would be put into a special category and face court time. You know, we would subpoena him, bring him into the recorder's court, and handle it through the court system. Here we go, another vacant house. We'll do a little 360 around this one. Just want to make sure all the windows are secure and boarded. A lot of the fires that start in vacant houses are because of the homeless issue and the vagrants. You know, they'll go inside the house, stay warm, just survive, and they'll start a fire sometimes, and it gets out of hand, out of control, burns the house down. So this is very important for us to, even if it appears to be secure from the front, to go and do a complete inspection all around and really ensure the safety of the property, because you know, people's lives are at risk. And as I stated before, you know, there's a lot of schools, a lot of small children in the area, and we don't want anything happening to our children. You know, we've got to protect them at all costs. So this one of the perks of the job, you know, gives you a little bit of makes you feel like you're doing something that actually makes a difference at the end of the day.
When we're out in the community, we conduct systematic inspections. We also follow up on complaints that we receive via the 311 system or from residents calling directly into the office making complaints. Well, while out on the blitz this morning, I observed that the rear of this property, actually the right-of-way that abuts the property, is overgrown. The city ordinance actually requires the resident abutting this overgrowth, the right-of-way, to address it and cut it. The city does not come out and cut this. So in this case, we will leave a notice to correct condition, also known as a courtesy notice, on the front door of this property, giving the resident 5 days to come out and to cut and clean the right-of-ways. After 5 days, we'll come back out, we'll conduct a re-inspection to ensure that the resident has addressed the overgrowth that's abutting their property. If the resident fails to address it, if it is rental property, we will attempt to get in touch with the owner. If it is owner occupied, either way, if it's not done, it would be the owner or the tenant and or be given a administrative summons to appear at the Chatham County Courthouse. If the arbitration doesn't help, it doesn't work, the owner tenant still refuses to cut the property, then the case would be transferred over to Recorder's Court. That is a more formal proceeding, and that can come with fines and or jail time. And in many cases, if it's a property that is a repeat offender, then at that time we will request a court order known as a cease and desist to be placed upon the property owner and or the tenant. Good morning. We want to speak with the residents while we're out here so that we can educate them. We want all of the residents to know what the ordinance says within their cities. Even though that they're posted on the city's website, savannahga.gov, many of them don't view it that way. We have the city access channel for the resident to obtain information. Not all may see that, and a lot of information has come out in the water bill, you know, throughout the years. And even with that, the residents, not all residents receive the information.
City Span, spanning the stories that matter to you in and about the city of Savannah.
At Deep Center in Savannah.
Look at me now.
City Span, keeping you informed.
We built it for the kids.
We will make a difference.
Sharing the events that are important to you.
We help people.
From politics to performances, entertainment to elected officials.
I refer to this as the Jewel of Windsor.
City Span on Comcast Cable 8 and SavannahGA.gov. And join our City of Savannah Facebook and Twitter pages.
How you doing, sir? Is this your vehicle here? I'm with the Property Maintenance Department. I'm Inspector Kalogitonas, Inspector for your area. How are you, sir? Good. I just noticed that your tag is actually expired. Do you have that information with you now, or? Okay, well, you need to go up to the tag office and get it taken care of. I'm just gonna leave you a courtesy notice. It just states, that I spoke to you about the violation. And there is a timeline to get it done by. I will be back within 5 days to re-inspect it. So the landlord will be contacted in this situation. The tenants spoke on the phone, owner of the vehicle, elderly lady. They're just gonna take the car to the cash and carry. They don't have the means to fix it. And she's working towards compliance. So there's no reason to go and tag the vehicle if she's gonna go ahead and remove it. So I just gave her, our courtesy notice stating, what we spoke about, and the car should be gone by the weekend. Is your address posted on this house anywhere? Am I missing it? Where is it? Okay. It's very important for it to be visible from the street because in the instance of an emergency, that extra second of them not being able to, directly see your address could be a, life or death, or, if your house is on fire or something, time is of the essence. So that is why we enforce visibility of your address from the right-of-way so strictly, is a safety factor. So I will get a hold of the landlord because he is ultimately responsible for this property, not the tenants. Might not seem very important to most people, just your address can't be seen, but when there's an emergency, it makes a difference. It really does.
Here we have several violations going on here at vacant property, which would be in our scope of things that property maintenance code enforcement address. We have a vacant structure that is overgrown, as you can see. It's open to the public, so we consider this to be an unsafe property. And what the inspector is doing, Inspector Phillip is actually checking to see if anyone's in the home before closing it up. We will issue a citation to the owner. From 10 days of receiving the citation, the owner has to secure the property. If the owner fails to secure the property, then we will assign a contractor to secure the property, and we will bill the owner. Coming towards the rear of the property, we see that illegal dumping has occurred. This is very common throughout the city of Savannah. Trying to get a handle on illegal dumping, especially illegal dumping of tires, is a challenge for code enforcement. Quite often we have someone illegally dump them at vacant properties on side of the road, on virgin land within the woods. And when the inspectors are out in the community, we identify illegal dumping, and we try to identify who is doing the illegal dumping. Quite often it's difficult, and the cleanup falls back on the city of Savannah. When we come across property where the owner is deceased and the property has not been probated, and you have several different family members that have a stake in the property, some form of ownership, so then that can be a slippery slope for us on identifying all of the owners, issuing citations, holding them all accountable. Sometimes we only end up with one owner to hold responsible and to take into the court system if they fail to correct the violations. When we identify property to be unsafe, we placard the property with language that basically says that it's vacant and unsafe, and that the city has identified it to be unfit for human habitation and to keep out. From the street, I can see several violations here at the house. One of the concerning ones to me is the exterior housing code violations that I see at this house. On the lower end of the house, towards the footing where the foundation is, I see rotted wood. It seems like it's been deteriorating for some time. So in this case, I would want to knock on the door because it is occupied, just to gauge if it's owner occupied or is it rental property. That will let me know if I'm going to leave a citation today. If it is owner occupied, then I'll leave a citation for the owner, giving them a fair amount of time to correct the violations. Extensions may be given or needed, really needed for housing code violations. As we know, in many cases, permits may have to be obtained, and it can be costly. So that would require some type of plan of action. So this is not going to get done overnight. This is going to take some time to address. If it is occupied by a tenant, then I will not leave a notice. I would do some research to find out who owns the property, get in contact with them, and issue the citation to the tenant. On the west side of the home, there's a dilapidated fence. The fence is actually leaning over. It's not serving any purpose. It's creating blight within the neighborhood. So we're also going to cite the owner to make repairs to the fence. And it'll be their choice on whether they want to repair the fence or remove it. It just cannot remain in this condition. It's Saturday, but we're out on the blitz going through the neighborhood, identifying violations that we normally won't catch during our work week. I see some exterior housing code violations on your house, so I knocked on the door, one, to find out if it's owner occupied or is it rental property. What I'm looking at observing is the rotting wood towards the foundation, right there in front of your vehicle. That's a violation that would need to be repaired, as well as the fence that's on the west side of your home that's leaning over. That would need to be corrected too. So normally what happens in this process, once we observe them, we'll issue you a citation, giving you a certain amount of time to correct the violations. Is there anything you want to say in regards to that? So what I'll do is take your information and I will basically create a different type of citation that gives you 45 days to bring it into compliance. And if the extension is needed from that time, depending upon the information that you research, trying to find a contractor, or if you're going to do the work yourself and started on it, then I'll work with you. In a case like this, it's a difficult one. I spoke with the homeowner, so I have learned that this is homeowner occupied. The finances to correct the violations may be an issue. For most people, it upsets them. So how we approach it with some sensitivity, looking into what services may be available to him. Don't know at this point in time. There are services through the City of Savannah and our housing department that will assist the elderly and some of our residents with disability. Whether he qualifies for those services, I'm not quite sure. This is a case that is not going to get resolved overnight. It's going to take some time, and we just have to be diligent with working with the owner.
This month on City Span, the spotlight is on Savannah, literally. Public safety cameras are ramping up surveillance.
Well, it's over 100 now.
For several important reasons. Simulator safety. It's our city's drivers prepared to make the roadways safer. Plus, it's a 110-year-old architectural gem, and it's nearly in its original form.
The mayor and aldermen sit at the exact same desk the mayor and aldermen sat at when this building opened.
City Hall and all its hundreds of years-old documents presented for you. We'll check in on the budget process and show how the summer home repair program works.
It's an easy process. All you got to do is make the first step.
And how you can get help. If you want to, go bananas. But be sure to grab a cup of coffee with a cop. And join us on City Span, Monday through Friday, 11, 3, 7, and 11. Your source for news and information in Savannah.
We want to thank everybody for participation today. We was able to accomplish a lot. We was able to knock on some doors. We was able to talk to some residents. We was able to educate a lot of people, which was very fruitful. We ask that when we go back to the office Monday, that you will gather up all your stuff for me, please. So that way we can make copies, and then we can go from there. We'll have opportune time to try to put everything into the system.
All rise. Chaney County Recorder's Court is now in session with Honorable Chief Judge Chaney presiding. Be seated and remain quiet.
I do want you to know that city violations are punishable up to a $1,000 fine, up to 30 days in jail, or both.
But that's not really what we want. What we want is compliance. And I think most people want compliance. We just have to help them understand what it is they need to do to get there. You have to be tough, but you have to be compassionate, actually a lot, because you're actually dealing with people face to face. And it's one thing to talk in the general terms about blight and what needs to be taken care of. It's another thing to talk to the 90-year-old grandmother who's on a fixed income and she really is trying to do what she needs to do to maintain her property in the correct way. And she might need a little extra time and maybe a little extra help.
I did have the opportunity this morning to conduct an inspection of the site in violation. We're out here to educate you and to try to put some value back into where you live in your own neighborhood and to appreciate, this is the only planet we have. And a lot of the core values that I myself, and I'm sure you, were taught at a young age, they need to be re-implemented.
What they're dealing with is very important and very personal. It's what belongs to the homeowner. And to say that they've violated some law or there's debris or it's in disrepair is a very sensitive topic for folks.
I will actually say the true definition of public servant. We're in the community. I like to believe that we are helping individuals. A lot of residents don't want their community to be overran with junk vehicles, overgrown grass. They want to live in nice communities, and there are a few that prevent that from happening, and in some cases a lot of residents don't have the means to address the violations at their house. So in some cases, many of them, we're able to link them up with services they may not be aware of as far as grants and loans, or just teaching them a better way of staying on top of their yard by cutting it every 2 weeks.
I did have the chance to speak with Mr. Clark prior to this hearing. Due to the fact that there were signs of progress and the large amount of debris that is present, we came to the agreement that April 11th, 2016 to be in full compliance.
There are a lot of difficulties, and I say that of all the cases that I handle here, whether it's felony preliminary hearings, whether it's traffic, whether it's misdemeanor criminal cases, I think this is really the toughest docket in my opinion, the toughest type of cases, because you really are dealing with your neighbors.
One thing that we did discover by talking, that we did discover that it was some people that really needed city service as far as getting their carts removed and things of that nature, which was good. A lot of individuals still don't understand about improper parking, so we constantly have to continue to keep doing that. But we do appreciate your service today. The organization appreciates what you did today. It's all very fruitful.
We'll be doing that more in the future. It gives us an opportunity to see people on their day off. Usually it's 9 to 5 and folks are not home, so it gives us a good opportunity to interact with folks, let them know what we're doing and why we're out here on the street.
Working on a Saturday has been very fruitful for us because we are able to communicate with the residents of particular areas and let them know what our concern is. Most rewarding of the job is to come back and see the difference in the neighborhood, and also people remember you for what you have been to them and how you try to get things accomplished. Even though they will fuss with you, but on the end they realize that, you know what, I appreciate Mr. Chaney coming to my neighborhood because I know he will do a good job.
We want people to take pride in their community, pride in their neighborhood, and this all works together toward that end.
We hang in there. We do help each other out. We come together. There's always someone there to help you if you ask for it.
Since being within the department, I have seen the neighborhood move from the declining slope moving up to improvement. Lots of good things are happening out there. So there is improvement because of code enforcement presence.